HITRUST certification is an incredibly valuable asset in the healthcare industry. It can help you protect your business from a breach, simplify compliance management, and sell to more customers. But how much does it cost? Let's dive in. First, what is included in the cost of HITRUST? The cost of HITRUST includes direct costs, such as fees to your third-party HITRUST assessor for the readiness assessment and validation testing. Then, there's fees to the HITRUST Alliance for validating your submission and for corporate-level MyCSF access. It's also worth considering the indirect costs to your organization, which are equal to how much you pay employees who focus on HITRUST instead of their day-to-day jobs, but more on that later. So, how much does HITRUST certification cost? The total cost of HITRUST depends on your organization's risk profile. At the beginning of the process, your HITRUST assessor will determine your risk profile through a readiness assessment, which includes around 50 questions on how your organization interacts with sensitive data. Your answers will determine which HITRUST controls your organization has to attest to and how many, and thus dictate how much time and money HITRUST certification will require of you, which could be from around $40,000 for a low-risk company and up to $160,000 for a high-risk company. How long does it take to get HITRUST certified? It can take anywhere from 7 months to 18 months to get HITRUST certified, depending on your organization's size, complexity, and motivation to see the project to completion. The HITRUST timeline can be broken up into 4 phases. Phase 1. You undergo the readiness assessment and gap analysis with your third-party HITRUST assessor, a process that can take 4 to 8 weeks. Then, you implement corrective actions based on what is discovered during the gap analysis. Phase 2 can take 4 to 12 weeks total. Then, you begin Phase 3, the HITRUST assessment process, where you implement the controls that are within the scope of your engagement. When you're ready, you submit your evidence to your HITRUST assessor for review and approval. This marks the beginning of a 90-day no-change period where you're not allowed to make any updates to controls while the assessor reviews your submission. There may be some back and forth here, so the timeline will greatly depend on how much HITRUST is prioritized at your organization. Phase 3 can take anywhere from 4 to 9 months. Finally, Phase 4. Submit your work to the HITRUST Alliance and you should get your results back within 1 to 3 months. Now let's look at the cost breakdown of HITRUST. For a low-risk company, the fee to the HITRUST Alliance will be in the range of $10,000 to $15,000. For a high-risk company, the fee could be as much as $100,000. The fee to the assessor will be about $30,000 to $60,000 total, depending on the scope of the engagement, i.e. how many HITRUST controls your organization is required to attest to. Therefore, the total cost of HITRUST can be anywhere from $40,000 to $160,000 for direct costs. But of course, that's not all that goes into getting HITRUST certified. It would be nice to just pay the fee and get the certification, right? Unfortunately, no. Your organization still has to do the work to implement the HITRUST framework. That's when indirect costs come into play. Indirect costs associated with HITRUST include employee time involved in the engagement, which takes them away from performing their usual responsibilities, any extra third-party tools needed to meet the requirements, like an SSO solution, and any other consulting services needed from your HITRUST assessor, usually to assist with corrective actions. Think about it like this. Let's say your organization has to attest to 400 controls, and it takes about 1 hour of employee time for every control. If you pay your employees an average of $100 an hour, that's 100 times 400 hours, which equals $40,000 of indirect costs just associated with employee time involved in HITRUST. Factoring in the indirect costs, we see the cost of HITRUST steadily increasing. Are there ways to alleviate costs? While there is no easy way to meet HITRUST benchmarks, there are ways to reduce the workload required to get there. Organizations that use public cloud infrastructure such as AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud can accelerate the path to HITRUST certification by inheriting controls that have already been met by their cloud service provider. When you use the public cloud, HITRUST certification is easier, faster, and cheaper. but more on that in another video. So, are you curious how much HITRUST certification might cost your organization? Try the HITRUST cost calculator for a free estimate. Visit cloudticity.com/HITRUST-cost to use the HITRUST cost calculator now. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content on HITRUST. Thanks for joining me, and until next time.